Howdy guys, it's Jake with Green Pro here. I want to walk you through the University of Mississippi's wastewater treatment plant. We're going to go ahead to the inflow. So we've got water coming in and there's these big spirals, gears, that the water is going to travel up when they cut on. You can see here there's one in process. This thing is slowly moving and slowly removing anything like rags. There's a lot of grease built up there, but it's washing it down, and all of that gets transported up these long tubes and eventually gets dropped over in here. This is just the trash and the heavy stuff that these devices can take out of that water. And because the air in here is going to be smelling and odorous, obviously, there's this big carbon scrubber here. Check this out. Big fan in, comes through, goes through a lot of charcoal here, and then goes boom and out the roof. So it's really controlling the odors being right here so close to the stadium. And then all of the water comes here. You can see it flowing in. This is a massive lift station before it gets lifted up and goes into the plant here. Two big pumps running, keeping up with that flow. All right, from there, these pumps pump this water in here. You can see it coming up. And this is just kind of a control station. It can get sent to either one of two or both of these oxidation ditches. As you can see, this one over here is in operation, being utilized, and this one is not, just because peak demand isn't getting met right now. Here's what's called the denitrification zone. This is a place without oxygen where the nitrogen is getting denitrified, if that's a word. Coming over here into the oxidation ditch, this is where we're going to pick up that oxygen. As you can see, this is a massive aerator here that's just bringing oxygen into that water, creating this flow, and everything's getting broken down at this point. All the microbes are happy, everything's moving, and bugs are eating bugs and cleaning this wastewater up. So from the oxidation ditch, and we're going to revisit that in a minute, but from there it comes over to, again, like a splitter box. It can go into one of three of these clarifiers. As you can see, only one of them is getting utilized. Water comes into the center. Again, no oxygen is getting added here, so it's kind of settling everything out, just making this water as clear as it can based on the specific gravity of water, a lot like a septic tank. But what solids float, as you can see here, there's this skimmer bar that's going to come around, and it's going to push everything around, and it's going to dump it in there, and then that goes back further in the process to get retreated, and that way you get really clean water. The water that's coming over these bars here, if you can see how clear that water is coming out, that's that treated effluent before it gets. This is one of the clarifiers that's empty. As you can see, there's this big center portion, and that's what's just keeping that stuff on the bottom from completely settling out. This whole entire thing is spinning all the way around. It's connected over here to the same skimmer, and there you can see that's the same box where everything drops out, goes in the pipe, and goes back. And last but not least, the water comes here and through gravity flows through this channel. Samples are getting taken here just to check the quality of the water, and comes over to a very cool, instead of using chlorine and clarifying, they use UV, literally light, to kill the bugs, to kill anything else before it leaves. As you can look down in here, you can see that light glowing, and this is just a really long chamber full of that's completely killing everything before it then goes out and right back to the water source. And there's a creek back there in the back that all of this flows right back into. Everything gets sampled and checked to make sure it's clean. We're going to jump back over to the oxidation ditch. So as you can see, this pipe here, this is the RAS pipe. What that's doing is all of the stuff, the scum, and a kind of a constant flow from this clarifier is just getting recycled to go back. And what that's doing is kind of a retreatment, repurification, just redoing what it's done again to get it even cleaner. At some point though, because crap just doesn't disappear, it breaks down into a sludge blanket that's on the very bottom of this. Once that gets to a certain percentage, it has to be what's called wasted. It has to be getting rid of. And so that's able to then go from here over into this very large pit that will fill up, and when everything's being wasted, and then one of these pumps over here is going to kick on and is going to send that way over here to the next part. So everything is wasted to here. This is a digester, but it's not just a typical digester, it's a special one because it's got what's called a decanter. All the water is going to come in from the clarifier, everything that's getting wasted, and they're going to turn on the blowers. This air is just going to mix all of this stuff up. It's going to super oxygenate everything in here. Once the blowers are turned off, again, via specific gravity like a septic tank, the heavier solids are going to sink, the sludge, and then the lighter stuff is going to float. And that clean water band can get taken out by this floating decanter here, and is going to send that water back to the oxidation ditch, again, to get retreated. But the thick sludge, broken down as far as it can, water's been taken off of it, is going to come over here to the belt press. And the very last stage here, the sludge is going to come out of the digester, come around, get dropped into this, what's called a belt press. Don't think of like a waste belt. This is a very wide, large belt here that only allows water through when pressed really, really hard. So this sludge is pressed between two of these belts through this machine and basically dewaters. It takes the water out and leaves only the solids. The water is drained out and goes all the way back to the oxidation ditch, whereas the heavy solids drop out and get put in one of these dumpsters. And here you go. Here's the final product of the waste, completely inert and ready to go. Thanks so much, guys.